Hi everybody, welcome back to Fibro Friday. I've taken notes for this one and it may have to be a two-parter, so bear with me. I've got notes down here, a screen on the computer that I want to refer to, and I'll try and keep an eye on the time as well and see how long this takes. So, I mentioned before a programme called Benefits Britain 1949 that's on the UK at the moment. I watched the last episode and there was a lady in it who had fibromyalgia, and what do they call it? The voiceover said, in 2013, Mrs. Whatever was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, a non-specific pain disorder. That was it. No more. A non-specific pain disorder. Now, how long have we been trying to get people to understand that there's more to this than pain? How long have we been battling down walls to get people to understand that we're not malingerers and we're not skivers and we're not whatever it is they want to label us as, and that we have got a genuine illness that has 101 other things along with pain, but nobody seems to be listening. A non-specific pain disorder. It was like, you've just knocked back any work anyone's done about 1,000 years now, because everybody who watched that programme would be saying, see, I told you it wasn't real. All them lot saying they've got fibro, they're just saying they've got it because there's no test to prove that they have. So once again, we're liars. So for those of you out there that may happen to watch this, I wanted to tell you what the symptoms were, what the symptoms are, what the majority of us deal with day in, day out in this non-specific pain disorder. So I'm going to be reading from the computer, so don't think I'm being rude. So, obviously, the main symptom is pain, which can change because of the weather, because of your stress level, or because of how physically active you are. You've got pain all the time. It can be an ache, it can be a burning, it can be a sharp stabbing pain. How many of you think people have got a voodoo doll of you? Here's one. Extreme sensitivity. So we have hyperalgesia, where we're extremely sensitive to pain, and allodynia, which I mentioned before, is when you feel pain from something that should not be painful at all, such as a very light touch. I have that with the blood pressure cuffs. I just cannot do them, and people look at me like I'm mental. Well, here it's in black and white on the NHS website, so just go and look, people. Stiffness, fatigue, and it's not just, oh, I feel tired. It's when you can't even lift your hand to scratch your head. That type of fatigue. Poor quality sleep, if you get any at all. And with me, the annoying thing is, when I need to sleep, I don't. When I don't need to sleep, I do. I'm wide awake when I should be fast asleep. When I do get to sleep, the least thing wakes me up. I got my feet jumping all over the place lately, driving me absolutely mad. Cognitive problems, fibro frog. Yeah, no, that's a nice little fibro fog. Yeah, that sounds like fun. No, it's not. It's when you can't finish a sentence. It's when you've forgotten what you were trying to say 2 seconds into saying what you're saying. And that is really annoying. My husband's got used to just sitting there looking at me now, because he knows it's like, don't interrupt her, because then she'll lose the complete thread of whatever it was she was trying to tell you in the first place. So we've got all that going on. Headaches from hell that last months and do not shift. Irritable bowel syndrome. We'll get it out. Not being able to regulate your body temperature. Restless legs. Tingling, numbness, prickling or burning sensations in your hands and feet. Tinnitus. Unusually painful periods. Anxiety. Depression. I could go on. And I have done in the past. So it's not just a non-specific pain disorder. There is a lot more to it than pain. And I was sat there the other day and I thought, you know, I can say, oh, I'm not a scrounger, I'm not a dolly, I'm not this, I'm not that, but people don't understand. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll write down all the jobs I've had and try and get across to people how my life used to be and how it is now, and how I don't want it like this, even though they think I may. So I did the usual, I don't know about you, but babysitting, that's where you normally start, isn't it? And I started at age 10. Back then, I don't know whether people didn't care about their kids or whatever, but I'm a Capricorn, and they say Capricorns are born old and grow young, so I was like an old woman when I was little. So babysitting. Then I got a job in my local spa, and I used to have the pricing gun. I love that, pricing up all the stock and stacking the shelves. Then next door to the spa was a chip shop, and I called in to get chips, and he said, how do you fancy a job? And it was like, oh, go on then. And he was finishing a degree or something, and he paid me to be there for a week. And he used to set it up in the morning, like cut all the chips and put the fryers on and everything. And then I just worked there on my own, frying chips and cooking fish and serving people in between. It was in my school summer holidays, so I think I was about 14, 15. Never happened nowadays, would it? But anyhow, then at 13 I was working at my uncle's club. He had a club in North London, and I worked as a washer-upper, pot wash. People used to collect the glasses, I used to wash them up. And here's the thing, do you remember them old jugs that we used to have? Something not dissimilar to that, but like really heavy with these type of handles on. That's what we had in my uncle's club, was these big heavy pint jugs. And I used to be able to carry 13 or 14 of them at once. So I used to hook them, 2 onto each finger and 1 onto my thumb, and then I'd pick up 4 with this hand because I couldn't put them onto me. And that's what I did. And I used to carry them up and down a bar and put them down where the barmaid needed them, go back, get more. And I spent all night from 8 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning walking up and down doing that. Then I used to get home, and sometimes I'd have to spar as well, and I'd have to get up in the morning and go to the shop and do that. I was a waitress at a Wimpy bar. I got a job in a chemist behind the counter, and he taught me how to dispense tablets as well, which was cool. I used to help my neighbour stuff envelopes. I helped out her hairdressers, like sweeping up and neutralising perms and that type of thing. Then when I got proper jobs, like real ones, first one was with the British Computer Society. I was a receptionist, telephonist, typist, and at the weekends I used to work in a nightclub behind the bar. Then I went from the BCS to British Telecom, where I worked for directory inquiries. Then I went... See, I might have got the order mixed up, but I'll just tell you the jobs I had. I worked for a local newspaper called the Mercury. I sold life insurance to women, and I had to ring up, sit in an office, ring up, making appointments one day, and then go out via bus, tube, whatever, and go to the people's place of work or home. And sometimes I wouldn't get home till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night from doing that, selling out life insurance. I worked on a disco boat on the Thames. I worked at the Waldorf Hotel in London as a farm cook and restaurant cashier. I moved to Ireland for a bit and worked in 2 hotels over there. Then I got a full-time bar job, and so I did shifts. So I had an hour off in the day, but you know, on all night, cleaning the bar, back in the morning, on my feet all day. Then I worked for another paper, the Hackney Gazette, in between working at a nightclub. I've worked in about 15 pubs, maybe more. I had people that used to ring me up when their staff didn't turn up because they knew they could trust me, or if they had to go somewhere. One of the blokes I used to work for, I'd turn up at the pub and there'd be a note on the door, the keys are with so and so, and I used to have to go and get the keys to the pub and open up, serve all night, close up, cash up, go home. And he'd never be there, and he knew he could do that because he trusted me, because I was honest. I worked for the Hackney Gazette, I worked for the Chronicle newspaper in Cricklewood, then I worked for Pet World, which was great fun. I loved that with all the animals. I was a cashier there. And then I was so fed up of being stuck in London on a crap wage in a miserable cold flat that I saw an advert for Butlins, the holiday camp, and I thought, why not? So I packed up, bag and baggage, and I moved to North Wales and worked first off as a chalet monster, as they called us, and that involved walking from one end of the section I worked on to the other, which, God, I don't know. I walked a good 10-15 miles a day up and down these chalet lines, checking that people were okay, making sure they had everything, making sure the cleaning had been done properly, that any handyman jobs had been done, that type of thing. And I worked there until I met my husband and we got married. He asked me after 17 days, and it was 9 weeks from the day we met to the day we married. And we got married on June the 6th, and I got pregnant in the August. I worked at Butlins till the end of season in November, and then I never went back. Then Butlins closed and became a haven holiday camp, and they got rid of a lot of staff, and so my husband didn't have any work. Pardon me. And we decided that we were going to have to move to where there was work, because in North Wales you had to speak Welsh to get a job anywhere other than at Butlins. I think we could count to 10, that was about it. So I was from London originally. I put my name down for a council house when I was 16, and I'm still waiting now. So we decided it'd be easier to move to hubby's hometown. So we came here, and when we walked in, the house looked like a bomb had hit. I don't know how they had the cheek to say it was ready to be lived in, but within 2 weeks my husband had a job, and he used to work all day, come home from work on the house. I did all the cooking, cleaning, housework, walking my son to school. We didn't have a car then, so I used to have to walk him to school, walk from his school to the shop, do the shopping, get a cab from the shop back to home, put all the weekly shop away, go back down to school to pick him up, walk back up the hill to take him home. Then I'd sort him out, wash his uniform, blah 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 blah. And my husband said at one point, "You never sit down, just sit down." And I never could sit down. If there was something that needed doing, I was always doing it. So I kept going, kept going, kept going. Got pregnant again in 2002, because she was born in 2003. And just after I had my daughter, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I'd been going to the doctor for months saying I'm in absolute agony, and he'd given me every painkiller under the sun and nothing worked, and sent me for 100 million tests, as you all know, and eventually they came back and said it was fibro, and that was 10 years ago. So back then I was still on the go, I was still doing things, I was still doing housework, I was still hanging out the washing, do you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden it crept up. Now it's got to the point where I can't do anything. I've been stuck in this bedroom for 5 years or more. The only time I go out is to the doctors or something at school, and my life is like zilch, nothing happens anymore. And people think we've chosen this. Why would you choose to live like this? Nobody would choose to live like this. Do you know what I mean? It's like... Anyway, so I just wanted to give a bit of a background to show people that yes, I was hardworking and I had a life, and all of a sudden disability came along and said, you're not going to have a life anymore, you're not going to do anything anymore, you're going to sit there, you're going to be in agony all day long, and you're going to have all your neighbours and people thinking you're a retard or a dull scrounger or a skiver. So let them think what they think, because like I've said before, disability doesn't discriminate, and one day it could be them, and then they'll be like, oh, maybe I should have been nicer, but by then it'll be too late. So me and my, what is it, non-specific pain disorder are going to go now. 15 minutes, that's not bad. I thought it was going to be a lot longer, because I do have a tendency to waffle and go off on a tangent. So let me know what you think. Did any of you see it? I know a lot of the people, she says, I don't have, like, I've got millions of subscribers watching me. The people that watch me are mainly in America, I think, or Canada. I can't just say America. Canadians get really fed up when you do that, don't they? So I'm not sure if you'd have seen it, but maybe if you go on BBC iPlayer online, you might be able to. Sometimes I try and watch American things and it says, you are not in the right area, and it's like, no, that's why I'm trying to watch it online. If I was there, I'd have watched it on the telly. But yeah, it really annoyed me, and it's just gonna, what's the word, confirm, concrete, whatever, what other people think, that, you know, that it isn't really anything at all, it's just a name and there's nothing wrong with you. But look at the list of symptoms. I'll put the link down below. I mean, that's just one site. You can go on anywhere and see. There's a lot more to this than pain. If pain was the only problem, I could deal with that. It's everything else that goes along with it. But see, now I've rambled on for another minute and a half or 2 minutes. I'm going to go, and I hope to see you all during the week with something a little more fun. If not, I will see you next Friday, hopefully. Thanks for watching if you did, and I'll see you soon, once you can't find a switchy offy thingy. Bye.